Hey everyone, how's it going? Forrest here, again with another installment of my complete analysis of all 389 Bach chorale harmonizations. Today we're going to be looking at Wer nun den Leben, Gott lässt walten, which translates to whoever lets only the dear God reign and hopes in him at all times. It's a very straightforward chorale in comparison to yesterday's. I highly recommend yesterday's video. It was a megalithic chorale. There was so much going on, very harmonically dense, and it's a long video, so if you need a longer video to watch, by all means, but this video is not going to be nearly as long. Two sharps in the key signature, we end on B major, we start on B minor, we're definitely in the key of B minor for sure, and we start off, like I said, on our one chord, some passing tones in the inner voices, and then we have D, F sharp, and B. That is a one chord again, just the voices have rotated. A sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and C sharp. That is an F sharp major triad over A sharp, or 5/6. B, F sharp, and D. Again, another root position tonic triad. F sharp, A sharp, F sharp, and C. That's another F sharp major chord, this time in root position, with a passing tone in the alto. Then we have G, B, D, and B. That's a root position G major triad, which is 6 in the key of G major, passing tone in the bass. E, G, and C sharp. That's a C sharp diminished triad in first inversion, or 2/6. You know Bach loves his 2/6 chords. We have some passing tones in the soprano and the tenor. F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. We know the chord that comes after 2/6 is almost always 5, and then we actually cadence on 5 again. It looks almost as if we are preparing for an authentic cadence, but this is actually a half cadence. The voices just rotate. Kind of like how the beginning of the phrase, the voices rotate and we see the same chord. The end of the phrase is a series of two of the same chords, just voiced differently. Okay, looking ahead to the next phrase, we have a perfect authentic cadence in the key of B minor. However, we have this interesting section here where we have A natural, A natural, A natural, G, F sharp. It sounds undeniably like D major here. So I think after this pause, we get a direct modulation to the key of D major, briefly, until we get to this area here where we have B, A sharp, B, just because of the fact that it just starts to highlight the F sharp, which sounds like the 3 of D major here, turns into the dominant of B minor. So analyzing in the key of D major, we have F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and A natural. There's this juxtaposition of major quality triad and minor quality triad. So I think we are in the key of D here. No minor 5. This is definitely a 3 chord. And then we get D, F sharp, and A. That would be a B minor 7 chord. Also kind of indicative of the fact that we're probably not in the key of B minor, as we don't usually see a lot of emphasized 1/7 chords. Of course, yesterday's chorale being the exception because of the fact that we cadenced on a 1/7 chord, an inverted 1/7 chord for that matter, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, this is a 6/7 chord, which is 3 wants to go to 6 via the cycle of fifths. We then have C sharp, A, E, and G. That's an A7 chord over C sharp, or 5/6. And then we have D, A, E, and F sharp, and you probably gather that this E is a suspension over the bass, a 9/8 suspension. So we have a progression in the key of D major here. It's pretty undeniably in D major. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay, next we have G, B, D, and B. That's a G major triad in root position, which will be a 4 chord. And this is where it starts to sound like B minor to me, so we're going to go ahead and mark this as our pivot chord. G major is 6 in the key of B minor, just like how we had here. Passing tone in the bass, passing 7th actually in the bass. And then we have E, C sharp, G, and B. You know that Bach loves his 2-6-5 chords. That's C sharp minor 7 flat 5 over E. Passing tone in the tenor. 6-2, which is the progression that we would expect via the cycle of fifths. Then we have F sharp, E, F sharp, and A sharp. That is an incomplete 5-7 chord, but it's in root position, and the fifth of the chord doesn't really define the sound. It's the third of the chord, and the seventh that gives it the dominant sound. So 5-7, incomplete, and then we cadence on 1. 6-2-5-1. It doesn't get more textbook than that. Yes. Good. So looking ahead to the next cadence, we have a perfect authentic cadence in the key of D major. So we're looking for a point in which we modulate. We have A sharp at the beginning of the phrase here, but I don't think the modulation occurs too far into the phrase, because it's more or less diatonic for the rest of our time. We have A natural pretty close afterwards, so I reckon this is sort of where we modulate, just based on sight. We have F sharp, A sharp, F sharp, and C. That's an F sharp major triad, or a 5 chord in the key of B minor. And then we have B minor here, B, B, F sharp, and D. 5 going to 1. That's usually where 5 goes. 5 goes to some sort of tonic chord, usually the tonic, but sometimes it goes to 6, sometimes it goes to 3. And this is where I think we modulate to the key of D major, right here. This B minor chord is now 6 in the key of D major, and then we modulate, and now we're analyzing in the key of D major. So A, C sharp, A, and E. That's good. A 5 chord, A major in root position, passing 7th in the bass, F sharp, D, A, and F sharp. There's our tonic triad, D major over F sharp, so 1-6. Passing 7th in the bass, or sorry, that's not a passing 7th, that's just a passing tone. Then we have D, D, A, and F sharp. That's again just another tonic triad in root position. And then we have G, D, B, and E. Again with that's a E minor 7 over G, which is 2-6-5. Bach loves his 2-6-5 chords, as we can see from the cadences all over his chorales. Then we have A, C sharp, A, and E. This D is like a delayed passing tone, or no, it's not a passing tone, it's an anticipation. But yeah, it's like anticipating the melody, but it's still a 5 chord. And then we cadence on 1, of course, D major, D, F sharp, A, and D. And it's perfect authentic, of course, because the D is in the tonic. Or I keep saying in the tonic instead of saying in the melody or in the soprano. Usually in the melody and in the soprano are synonymous with one another, because the soprano usually gets the melody, but not all choral ensembles have a soprano, so saying the melody I think is more open-minded, I guess. Okay, we're looking for a point in which we modulate to the key of B minor in anticipation for a perfect authentic cadence, and we get F sharp pretty close afterwards. So I reckon that this D major chord here, which actually via this B kind of sounds like B minor, but we'll go ahead and just say that in the key of B minor, this D is now a 3 chord. Maybe you could even call it a 1-6 chord because of this B, depending on how you hear it. But because the D major chord happened immediately before it, hearing it again, I think this B kind of gets overshadowed. Okay, C sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E. That's A sharp diminished over C sharp, which is 7-6 in the key of B minor. And we know that 7-6 usually goes to 1, especially in root position. B, B, F sharp, and D. This is our root position B minor triad. It's good to see the chords functioning the way they're supposed to. And then we have E, B, G, and C sharp. That's a C sharp minor 7 flat 5 over E. You know that Bach loves his 2-6-5 chords. And then we have some harmonic movement happening on the 8th notes here. F sharp, A sharp, remember from the before. F sharp and C sharp. We have a passing 5 chord. So I think right here, that's where, because if we didn't analyze this beat right here, it would be 2-6-5 going to G, B, F sharp, and B, which would be a 6-7 chord in root position, which would be kind of odd. 2-6-5-5-6-7 makes a lot more sense than just 2-6-5 to 6. That would be like two. The lack of dominance after a predominant chord is atypical. We see it, obviously I can't say that Bach hasn't done that, but it's unusual for us to not see a 2 chord followed by some type of dominant, whether it be 5 mostly or 7. Yes. So then we have some more passing tones here, and that also changes the structure of the chord. We have G, B, E, and C sharp, and that chord should look familiar because it's just a reordering of the notes from the 2 chord we saw earlier. This just happens to be a C sharp half diminished in second inversion because it's over the G. And 6 wants to go to 2. So I think this 6 really is just, the piece could have ended here from an analytical standpoint, right? 2-6-5-5-1. Those have been our cadences up until this point, right? But he goes to 6 instead, and that further perpetuates the piece. It extends the length of the piece. And then we have F sharp, B, F sharp, and D. It's B minor triad in second inversion. We know that tonic triads in second inversion are pretty common in cadences. Neighbor tone in the bass. F sharp, A, F sharp, and C sharp. That's F sharp major in root position. So 1-6-4 going to 5, passing 7th in the alto. And then we cadence on B, F sharp, D sharp, and B, which is not B minor, but B major. We have this bracket right here to show that 1, 6, 4, and 5 are related. That's just the way that I learned how to do it in the textbook. And it's just such a habit at this point. Yeah, all in all, really straightforward analysis. Great usage of 2-6-5 and also non-dominant 7th chords. We see a couple of 6-7s, which is nice because I think Bach is sort of using similar chords throughout. Lots of 6, like in very important metric places throughout the piece, which is indicative of the fact that, I think the analysis is illuminating some consistencies in the way that the phrases are being put together. All in all, he pretty much stays in the realm of 2 sharps the entire time, and it was a really straightforward analysis, one of the easier analyses that I've done so far. It was also very refreshing after yesterday's very lengthy analysis. So I will leave you all on that one. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really enjoyed today's analysis. I hope you enjoyed it too. I look forward to tomorrow's analysis, and thanks for continuing to support the channel. I hope you take care.